Okay, so we're live. My name is Johnny, and I'm not going to be on the video much tonight. I just wanted to see, as I'm setting up my parents to do their video, that I'm taking this seriously. So let's go ahead and get this in its place here. This is good TV. Oh, we're still live. Oh, we got a bunch of people on too, and they're like, what's happening right now?
It's all right. Be with you 1 minute.
We're just getting ourselves set up.
Okay.
And there we are.
You want to go down a little?
I'm going to go down just a little bit here so you're a little bit more in frame.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, this is fun. Is everybody having a good time? I'm having a good
Don't
time.
give up on us.
People are like, is Johnny in a mask because of Corona? It's like, well, we're just being safe,
He's
right?
just protecting his parents.
Yep. Okay, why won't this lock in? Sorry, everybody, for this. It's going to be worth it. I promise. Okay.
all right.
I'll walk away from it now.
Okay.
It's
Go ahead and
a-
start. About 200, 300 people on that.
Okay, hi, my name is Cheryl, and I'm a believer who struggles with codependency. You just met our son Johnny, and he loves Philippians 1:6. In fact, it's one of his favorite verses. As I was reading Philippians this week, though, I focused on verses 2 through 5. Now remember that Paul was in prison when he was writing these verses because that gives them even more special meaning. Philippians 1:2. May God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ give you peace and grace. Every time I think of you, I give thanks to my God. Whenever I pray, I make my request for all of you with joy. For you have been my partners in spreading the good news about Christ from the time you first heard it until now. And then Philippians 1:6, and I am certain that God, who began the good work within you, will continue his work until it is finally finished on the day when Christ Jesus returns. Now this is how John and I think of our Celebrate Recovery Forever family. For you have been our partners in sharing the good news about Christ. And we've been sharing that Jesus Christ is the one and only true higher power for almost 29 years. And we are not about to stop now, are we? We've had some great ideas from the national team this week on Facebook Live about coping with a pandemic and sharing the good news about Christ. If you've missed any of them, I encourage you to go watch them starting from Friday, March 20th. Go back and watch them, or maybe just watch them again. Now, I found the best way for me to get through this crazy gamut of feelings is to do whatever I can to hold on to joy, and that's where my gratitude list comes in. I've been using my prayer journal now in new ways these past few weeks. I write down my prayer requests on the first half of the journal, and I write down my gratitude list in the second half. Last week, John and I went to see our daughter Laura and our 2 grandkids, Max and Lily, and we stayed outside on the other side of the fence to remind us that we couldn't share hugs. We were visiting so we could see their new little puppy, who they've named Joy. Yesterday, we went to see the Bakers, Johnny and Jenny and Maggie and Jimmy, because it was Chloe's 14th birthday. Again, we stayed outside and visited with the family, practicing social distancing. Each time as we walked away from these visits, I was overcome with great sadness when I clearly expected to be feeling joy. Then I felt guilty because I felt sad. Yes, my codependency was totally triggered. I thought about stuffing the sadness because I didn't really want to bring John down, but thankfully I did know what to do. I talked about it with him on the car rides home, and I called my accountability partners and talked it over with them. I worked through my feelings so I didn't stay stuck with those feelings of guilt and sadness. Guilt over missing my family, sadness over what the world is going through. These are very normal feelings, and they were nothing to be ashamed about. After the phone calls to my accountability partners, I got out my prayer journal, my gratitude journal. I put down more prayer requests, and then I added to my gratitude list. Again, I wrote down, thank you again, Lord, thank you for my family. Thank you that our country is doing everything it can to fight this virus, and thank you for all that you've given us. And thank you that I have a Celebrate Recovery Forever family who are partners in sharing the good news. Will you start sharing with us now while we're on some of the things that are bringing you joy during this difficult time? Here are some great scriptures to help you focus on joy. Psalm 9:2. I will be filled with joy because of you. I will sing praises to your name O Most High. Now, if you saw Cheryl Luke last night singing praises, don't expect that from us. She did a great job. You should check her out. Last night's Facebook Live. Romans 12 and 13. Rejoice in our confident hope. Be patient in trouble and keep on praying. When God's people are in need, be ready to help them. Always be eager to practice hospitality. And then the one we usually hear about at Christmas, Luke 2, 10 and 11. But the angel reassured them, don't be afraid. He said, I will bring you good news that will bring great joy to all people. We need to keep sharing the good news that brings great joy. Before I turn this over to John, I just want to kind of close my part with this. A lot has been said in the media about the young people who are congregating on the beaches or who are going to parties. But we know lots of young people who have gone into quarantine with their families. Some are serving, answering hotlines, or at the food banks with masks and gloves. If you know a young person who is doing any of these things, when this program is over, when this Facebook Live is over, as soon as we say goodbye, will you text those young people or will you call them and say thank you, that we are grateful for you? Okay, John, your turn.
All right. Thank you, Cheryl. My name is John, and I'm a believer who struggles with alcoholism. As founders of Celebrate Recovery, one of the things we found was it's hard to change. It's hard to change. We've been doing Celebrate Recovery basically the same way with some advances and some changes, but basically the same 7 key model since 1991. We started out with 4 groups, but of course God has given us more ways to reach hurting individuals. But Celebrate Recovery model has remained true, and basically what it's true to is that Jesus Christ is our higher power, period. Today we have groups for all kinds of hurts, hang-ups, and habits. In 1991, Celebrate Recovery was at one church, that was Saddleback Church. Today it's in over 30,000 churches. It's over 700 prisons, 22 different languages, and 5 million brave individuals who've gone through a 1-year step study. God has had his hand on Celebrate Recovery since the very, very beginning. However, this is an unprecedented time for our world. Due to the coronavirus, the restrictions are changing daily as more and more cities are sending out shelter-in-place orders or something else new, and really, we don't know how long this is going to last. God does, but we don't. All we can do is, I tell you this is a time where I have learned to live day by day, one day at a time again, very upfront with me. I don't think I ever forget it, but man, it's one day at a time, and hopefully you're going that way too. Your Celebrate Recovery national team has created a way for us all to connect while face-to-face groups are not possible, they're not safe. We have been sharing with you on Facebook Live the last couple of weeks different ways you can still connect. And if you came up with a lot of ideas, we kept asking for those. And these are just a few of them. Remember to stay in contact with your sponsor and sponsees. This is not the time to isolate. And sometimes we get discouraged and we think, oh, poor me. And that's the wrong way to go. It's that, oh, we're going to get through this. We've got one another, and we got Jesus Christ. Again, don't forget the newcomers. If you've got any of those that you have a phone number, make sure you contact them. Make sure you continue to encourage them on a daily basis. This will be a great way to stay connected. Join us daily on Facebook Live. We decided we used to do, Johnny and I and some others had done Facebook Live for I think 3 years on Friday nights. Well, we decided that, right now during this time, everybody might need a little more encouragement, a little more hearing about Jesus, a little more hearing about the miracles that he does with us in our recoveries. So what we did is we now are going to be on Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Coast time. A little louder. Okay, sorry. This is kind of relaxing talking to you, but I'll speed it up. Some people have said that I'm quiet.
Yeah, you're quiet.
Huh. Never do that.
I can't hear you half the time.
Okay. since we started to celebrate recovery, one question just kept surfacing and surfacing, and it says, why don't we have online groups? Well, very honestly, I would say, and Cheryl would say, and Johnny would say, and Mac, and the whole team would say, you know, we just can't make them safe. We just can't make them safe. And we really can't. So what we've done is the best we can during this time to have some online groups, because that's really the only way we can get together right now. Have online groups and make them as safe as possible. Let's let it go with that way. For years, people have wanted us to do this, and unfortunately, the new crisis in our world, having face-to-face groups just isn't possible. So if we're going to continue our recoveries, we got to do this by creating Celebrate Recovery crisis response open share groups online. It's hard for me to say that. But
It's got a new name too, though.
right.
CRCR.
by creating Celebrate Recovery crisis response groups, we have open share groups. We believe this can be a temporary, please hear what I said, a temporary solution for you still to be able to connect with your groups. As soon as we get through this pandemic, and I don't have any idea when that is, but we will get through it. Don't ever think we won't. We will get through it. If it lasts another month, if it lasts another 2 months, whatever it lasts, because we've got God, we've got Christ, and more important every day is we got people that we can talk to and encourage us God's way. That's a very, very big thing to have. And I tell you, my heart breaks for people that don't have Christ in their life today. All right, now I'm just really off what I wanted to say, but
Off script again.
yeah, that is a surprise, isn't it? All right, so here's what the new online groups are going to look like. The online group must be, this is going to really shock you, gender specific. Nothing new there. We want them led by a trained leader from a local Celebrate Recovery. This is important because we want to keep the DNA, we want to keep the guidelines, we want to just have, they're just online versus what they used to be. For now, I'm going to keep saying that. All members are committed to being alone in the room from which they are participating during the meeting. These groups will be formed from existing groups from local Celebrate Recovery ministries. These groups and their growth are to be overseen by a ministry leader from a local Celebrate Recovery. So not everything's going to change. The leader can remove anyone who is not following the guidelines, just like we can in a regular Celebrate Recovery meeting.
Face to face.
Yep. You know that Celebrate Recovery has 5 guidelines, and we've had those since 1991.
1991.
Yeah, there we go. All right. We've been having a lot of online meetings at Saddleback, trust me. But since the virus, we have added 3 new guidelines. We have the original 5, and we've added 3 new. So, you know, I don't think it ever hurts just to continue to read even the old guidelines.
Just like you would do at every meeting.
At every meeting, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, keep your sharing focused on your own thoughts, feelings, and actions. Please limit your sharing to 3 to 5 minutes. Same thing goes in the online group. 2, there is no crosstalk, please. Crosstalk is when 2 people engage in a dialogue during the meeting. Each person sharing is free to express feelings without interruptions. 3, we're here to support one another, not to attempt to fix one another. These probably sound a little familiar. Number 4, anonymity and confidentiality are basic requirements. What is shared in the group stays in the group. The only exception is when someone threatens to injure themselves or others. And finally, 5, offensive language has no place in a Christ-centered recovery group. Now here are the 3 new ones for the online group. Number 6, all members must use headphones. Now why is that? This is going to ensure that no one else can overhear what is shared in the group. Let's say that Johnny is sitting on the stairs there in case I knock this thing down and we have to start again. But he's sitting on the stairs over there. So if he wasn't in the group, he could hear what I was sharing in the group. So if I have my headphones on, he could hear what you're also sharing in the group. So this again, just,
But not once you have the headphones on.
right,
Right.
right, that's why we have the headphones on.
Right.
I realize I don't have headphones on.
You do
Yes.
not, but you keep pointing to yourself as though you
Yes,
do.
well, that's okay. Sorry, that's Cheryl's fault. Number 7, all members must be on camera. If the group leader asks, they must show the rest of the group that there's no one else in the room. Let's just say that we're doing this now and it's just me talking to you and we're all online. And you hear some noise behind me or some giggling. And, that we can't have. So you may be asked to have, hey, can you take your iPad down and just kind of span the room? Don't be upset because, again, safety. That is the main reason we have not had online groups. So I thought of most of the scenarios that could be unsafe. And that's what we're after. If we find other ones, we'll have 10 guidelines. All right. Meeting number 8, the meetings will not be recorded. Extremely important. These are not the memoirs. FaceTime can be recorded, but not the meetings. We are counting on you to keep these groups safe. Now, if the internet triggers you, and I know it's going to trigger some people, especially if you're dealing with a sexual addiction and it's not safe. What I would suggest to you, and this may take an extra step or two, is, again, I think a lot of these groups are going to be formed with people already who know each other because they came out of regular groups that were meeting face to face. I would suggest you go to one of the guys or ladies that you're close to in the group and you watch it with them at their place or your place, but you don't do it alone. And that'll help you stay safe and help you with your own recovery.
However, everybody in the group has to know that there are 2 of you at the house. So, and you have to have permission from the group that you're both there.
I was just getting ready to say that. No, I wasn't.
And you have to both be visible on camera at the same time.
Both visible.
Yeah.
Everybody has to know you're both in the same room. You both still have to wear your headphones. So that's kind of the exception to the rule about being alone in the room.
I got it all right down
I
here.
know, but you weren't
I
going to
don't.
read it, huh?
No, I don't. Okay. All right. So, how do you get started? This is pretty simple. You go to Zoom, Zoom.us, Zoom.us. You sign up for free meetings. You have free meetings. It doesn't cost anybody a penny if you keep them under 40 minutes. Now, if you've got 5 people, you should be able to do that. If you've got 10 people, you're gonna have to talk pretty fast. The thing that is what it is if you do go over 40 minutes and you find yourself continually going over that and you're rushing through your meetings, for 14, I'm not selling Zoom here, I'm just telling us the way we could meet. For $14.99 a month, this is per person, you could meet for 4 hours if you wanted to. So that's just what you could do. But Zoom, that's what we're using. I was on Zoom calls today for about 3.5 hours. And you feel pretty safe when you're on Zoom because you can see the people that are there. All right, this is not going to take place. Please listen to this. This is not going to take place of the large group. This isn't for teaching the lesson. That's still to be done when we come back and we can all meet together again. This is for sharing. And so it's not teaching the lessons. I don't even think we need testimonies on this. I think you're going to get that through your sharing. You're going to get to know each other. We will have Facebook Live, and we started this last week, Monday through Friday, 5 nights a week, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So you're going to have plenty of food to eat as far as it's bad to say this time. You're going to have plenty of devotions and verses and things like that during Facebook Live during the week. But watch it. If you feel you're having a bad day, it's going to be on at 6 p.m. our time, Pacific time, 9 o'clock Eastern time. And you're gonna be with a Celebrate Recovery group. And I love that. I like doing it. All right. Consider putting, and this, I know we're gonna get a lot of questions on this. If we don't, Marnie's gonna come on, and she's gonna give us some questions. to
I'm
answer.
looking at questions too, so I can help with that too.
Okay, all right. We are gonna, I bet you somebody, Johnny has, and Marnie, I bet you somebody has asked, when are we gonna have step study groups online? We're not.
Yet.
At least at this time.
Did I take the wind out of your
You
sails?
know,
Sorry.
I mean, hey, we've only been married 50 years.
The dramatic pause was too long for me. I had to jump in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. All right, we'll talk about that later. So, anyway, we don't do this a lot on Facebook Live, so it's kind of fun. Now, where was I? Cheryl, you ought to know more than I.
But the step study groups.
Okay, step study groups. So we're not gonna be doing step study groups, and those we really do need to do face-to-face. I truly, truly believe that. If this goes on for longer than we think it's gonna long, we'll revisit a few things. Also, I wanna make sure that the open share groups work and are safe. Because this is the guy that's been saying no online groups, so, we're gonna take it a step at a time here. I understand that works. All right, Cheryl, where am I?
I have absolutely no idea.
All right. I think it's about time for me to end.
But you
I
have
know
more
what it is.
notes.
Yeah, I do have more notes. This is really important. We have 250 state reps. They're volunteers. If you go to celebraterecovery.com or you go to our app, celebraterecovery.com, and it says locate a state rep, you put in the area you're in and you'll get all the information on that state rep. You can call them to help you kind of get this group together, and they'll help you. Now, they're gonna do it at a pretty high cost. Nothing. They are here to help you and help you grow. So when you do talk to them, thank them for being there, that's for sure. CelebrateRecovery.com, Celebrate Recovery, the free app, and you'll be all set. That's all I got. Honey, you got any
Okay,
more
well,
on my
I need to
thoughts here?
make my amends
Oh.
to you, working my program for jumping in there. But as I saw you ad-libbing, I started to panic a little bit that we wouldn't get everything covered, but we did. So I am sorry if I spoke too soon,
Honey, that's
especially about
fine.
the step studies.
That's fine.
All right, do you forgive me?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Now, some questions?
Some questions.
Do we have any
Let me see if
questions?
Marnie's here. Marnie, you there? Hello, Marnie? Hello, Marnie? Marnie? Okay, you're here. All right, Johnny's got questions, you've got questions, somebody ask us a question.
Go ahead, Marnie.
Okay. I have one where actually Canada is on the line with us, and they are saying that they don't have CRCR set up yet. Can they join a open share group in the U.S.?
I don't see why not. I mean, as long as everybody knows where they're from and they introduce themselves to get to know each other a little bit.
Would they have to go through a local Celebrate
Celebrate
Recovery?
Yeah, but they could
So
talk
just contact us,
Yeah,
Celebrate Recovery?
yeah.
Sure.
I think that's great.
So I have a question that's not actually listed here, but I think it's sort of a,
So this is, okay?
no, I think it's sort of a general concept. A lot of people are asking for, little changes here and there, but I think, are these CRCR groups intended to be everything of Celebrate Recovery, or are they just supposed to be sort of a time, like a stand in the gap issue?
This is the best thing the national team could come up with during this time. And they may be around another 2 months. Let's pray that they are, and we can go back to meeting together. All right, it may take 6 months. I don't know that, but we're going to get back in our groups, and that's what's important. We can make little tweaks along the way, but I want you meeting. I want to meet.
But no, these online share groups are not to take the place of Celebrate Recovery.
No.
They are to help you connect during this time. We were uncomfortable with saying that you couldn't get in contact with your groups because we need to share, like I was talking about earlier, share your feelings. So this is just to take the place of the open share group, not the entire Celebrate Recovery program. When this is all over, I don't know about you, but I can't wait to get back to my large group and see my friends and praise and worship, and then break out into small groups, of small open share groups, and then go to fellowship, have the dinner. I won't want to miss that anymore. So this is just to help you with your sharing.
Yep.
Until we just take a look
You betcha.
at the
As
step
soon-
studies.
As
if
soon as
we
it's
need to.
safe for us to come back and gather in groups.
Right. Does that answer the
I'm
question?
in.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting notes here that they can't understand Marnie through the phone too.
Okay,
So,
okay,
I
we'll
will
repeat the question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Marnie, give me a test question here.
Okay, I have one that was asked last night, and I told them that I would ask it tonight.
Okay.
So stay tuned for the answer. The question is, are we going to offer PPE, which is personal protective equipment, like gloves and masks, like everything that people are going to be wearing, they are wearing now? Are we going to be offering that if we do move forward with the summits in July and August?
Okay.
Okay, the
wait,
question,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
let me go through that question. When Marnie asked, or somebody asked Marnie, are we gonna be offering the face mask and the gloves if we go ahead with the summits in late July and August? Hopefully by then, and I'm praying very hard, and I'm asking you to pray with me, that for a lot of reasons, not just the summits, but for a lot of reasons for our country and all other countries, this is gonna be done by then. But that's what we gotta pray for. If we gotta consider offering masks and gloves, probably not flying in airplanes to Tennessee or Southern California is good. What we're gonna do, I can't tell you for sure. It would probably be rescheduling for later in the year. But right now, I think we're gonna meet in the summits. We're not gonna have to worry about gloves anymore. That's what I'm praying for. I need your prayers too. Johnny?
Any more questions?
I think one thing people are asking a lot of is, what about newcomers? So what are we doing for people in this time with
Yeah.
newcomers?
Newcomers, it's gonna be tough. This is gonna be, I think our newcomers are gonna be from when you're at work, when we go back to getting out of the house for work, but when you meet somebody new and they're hurting, it's gonna be saying, hey, would you like to join this group with me? And you talk to the group about it, and you see how many, you can't have 30 people in a group online, because you never get a chance to share.
Right.
But, you may only have 5 or 6. But newcomers, I have a feeling, and it feels pretty good, and usually when I do, it's when I've been praying for, I think we have an opportunity to grow during this time. And if we don't grow during this time, I think we're gonna grow big time when it's over.
I've been thinking a lot about the newcomer. Those of you that know me at all know the newcomers, where my heart is. I'm hoping that if a newcomer calls your church and says what their problem is, that there's somebody on your church that has volunteered to be the recipient of those calls and to head that newcomer off into the right direction, to a Celebrate Recovery leader. Obviously, if it's a big church, it would take more than one person, but maybe the call would come in, maybe the ministry leader would be notified, and the ministry leader could give the man or the woman the opportunity to call the newcomer. I'm hoping that ways that we'll work it out.
Matter of fact, if you have a Celebrate Recovery webpage for your Celebrate Recovery, you
Yes.
could put a phone number for them to call on that webpage. If you're a newcomer that would like some information, at least you could talk to them and let them know when we can start meeting again, or about the online meetings, whatever. But yeah, I lose a lot of sleep at night because we can't reach a lot of new people.
Another suggestion might be, I don't know, just try to call some of the counselors in the area that maybe haven't referred Celebrate Recovery again, and tell them that some issues, some hurts, hang-ups, and habits are going to be coming up, and give them the Celebrate Recovery number where people can call. It might be another way to get to the newcomers.
All right, so I think, we're getting close to the time, and so I think, there's a lot of questions on there, and so I think that some of the concerns and things, state reps and national team who's on, we're gonna have them kind of drill down with some of those. And
Okay.
so
They're good at that.
if there's just anything else you wanna say before we go.
I'd like to take one more question.
Okay.
Marnie, do you have one? think it's the same rules that would be considered crosstalk. It's the same rules as,
Might want to repeat the question for everybody.
okay, why don't you repeat that, Cheryl?
Well, I don't know a lot about Zoom,
Can people-
but some
can-
Zooms are using the
Right.
chat
Yes.
function.
Yes.
And would we allow that in our Zoom calls? Evidently not, because it must mean that people can all talk at the same time.
Right.
And the host can actually disable the chat function so that they can't use it.
Okay, so in case you didn't hear that, the host can disable the chat function. That
Yeah.
sounds like that would be
Yeah,
chaos in
because
crosstalk.
Because it would be crosstalk.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, now I think that's the question, and